What's going on, everybody? So I want to make this video on what I feed my corals. So I feed my corals a variety of foods. Certain corals take certain kinds of foods, other corals take different kinds of foods. I've noticed some food is better for color and other food is better for growth. So let's get started. The first thing I feed my corals is mysis shrimp. So I'll feed this once to twice a week, usually twice a week, mainly because I got some new cans. I like to watch them grow. So I'll take half a block, they come in little blocks. I'll cut the block in half, dissolve that into a cup with a pipette, and feed each mouth of the cans. So I'll feed them to the cans. Pretty much anything with a large mouth, I'll feed the mysis shrimp. So we got cans here. Each mouth will get fed. The favia will get fed it. The rock flower, the blastos, the other favia. The Duncan loves it. So whenever I started feeding mysis shrimp to the Duncan, heads started popping up like crazy. So that coral and the cans have had the best growth with giving them mysis. And frog spawn, sometimes. I think it's eating it. I still feed it. Hard to tell. And also, I will give it to the mushrooms. The mushrooms are about 50-50 or less on if they eat it or not. A lot of times it just floats away, but I still try to feed them. So again, I do that twice a week right now. I'm doing that twice a week. The next thing I feed is Reef chili from Bulk Reef Supply. Great food. And Reefroids. So they both are the same type of food. They're going to be really small. This is going to be something I feed to the entire tank. But the thing that really loves it are these zoas and the SPS. But mainly the zoas, I've noticed huge growth when I started feeding Reef chili and Reefroids. It's been awesome. Heads have been popping up like crazy. The color's been popping whenever I feed those. All of the other corals, tentacles will come out, everything that has them. So like the favias will come out. I noticed the SPS comes out, the polyps get a little bit bigger, and they take in all of that Reefroid and Reef chili. So that's the next thing I dose. So I will usually feed that once a week to twice a week, along with the mysis shrimp. I'll do those on different days, but for this, I'll just take a pinch of it, about half a teaspoon, put it into a cup like this in a pipette, wash it around, and I will broadcast feed over the corals. So I'll take a bit and I will just feed over the polyps until it gets all over the tank. And I leave the flow off. I leave the flow off while I'm feeding any food. But leave the flow off for a while, put it on feed mode, let the corals do their thing, and leave it alone. So that's been great. The next thing I dose is this AB+. So I will do this. It says to do it every day. I do it every other day to every 3 days. So with my line of work, I work 24 hours on, 48 hours off. So I'm not here for 24 hours. So when I get home, I'll feed this. Or I might skip a day and feed it the next day. So it's usually every 2 to 3 days I'll feed this. Now this is the stuff I see color with. Seems like the next day after I dose this, the colors just pop, especially on the zoas, but the whole tank pops with color after feeding the AB+. It's got a lot of micronutrients in it, a lot of vitamins, fatty acids, organic material that the corals need to grow. So it's been great. I would highly recommend dosing this to your tank. Now for the dosing instructions, they're just on the back. It comes with a cup that you measure out, and you just, again, broadcast feed the whole tank with the flow off. I don't know if I said it, but I am gonna make a separate video on me feeding all these foods, just so you can get a in-depth look on how to feed them. The last thing I feed is going to be phytoplankton. Now, I'm a firm believer in phytoplankton. I think it's one of the best things you can add to your tank. If you've seen my phytoplankton copepod video, then you'll see that I love to dose this stuff. I try to dose this every day, every other day. Again, I work 24 hours on, so whenever I get off shift, I'll dose it. But I just do 1 capful for the tank. I'll pour about half the cap into the main display and the other half into the refugium. And I do that when the lights first turn on, if possible. That way the phytoplankton photosynthesizes, expands, gets bigger, makes more, and the copepods eat that. And also the corals will eat the phytoplankton themselves too. So they feed off this stuff, and then the copepods feed off that, and the corals can eat your copepods, and your fish eat the copepods. So this is very beneficial. It is, I say, one of the superfoods of the reef tank. Your corals eat it, your copepods eat it, which your fish eat the copepods, so it just feeds the whole system. Very, very good for the system. This is not a phytoplankton video, but another added benefit of this that I've seen when I started dosing heavy, I noticed my nitrates and phosphates went down. So I was looking into that. It looks like maybe they eat the nitrates and phosphates, so help to go down. Now, I wouldn't say that's something you should add to your tank to fight nitrates and phosphates, but I will say it helped me out. So take it with a grain of salt. You know, I could be wrong. It could raise them, but in my experience, they actually went down a little bit. So that's everything I feed my corals. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Again, I'm going to make a video on all the foods and how to feed them. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you would, give me a like, subscribe to my channel if you're interested in seeing those feeding videos. And that'll be it. I'll give you a little tour for the end so you can see how my corals are looking. Got the flow on, so it's not the best. There we go. Everything's looking healthy. All right, thanks for watching.